तो सबको मेरा नमस्कार
And
and
I'm really thankful to Professor Tripathi and his entire team who was organized this important 3-day international seminar on Vedic science and global applications. मैं जो आप लोगों के सामने बात रखना चाहूंगा वो है सागा ऑफ स्टील and iron technology of ancient India. So why we'll have to look at iron and why we'll have to go for the ancient Indian technology? This question must be coming to your mind, and so also the what about steel? Because steel is being used today very much. So we all of us know that iron plays a very important role in our life. Of course, the plastic has taken over, but however, the iron is still very important.
and 90% of 95% of the world metal production is basically belongs to iron. So therefore, it is very important, and fortunately, India is having a large reservoir of iron, and application will be enormous, starting from your domestic items to the agriculture, buildings, engineering components, ships, automobile, machinery, and so on and so forth, including even your surgical instruments and surgical tools. And there are several types of irons, and we are in India, we are fortunate to have the hematite, which is a very large number, particularly the eastern region of this our country and other places as well. So if you look at, it's not that eastern region alone, if you look at the all places across the points I have put it in this region, the region of iron ore deposits we are having. But unfortunately, we use the Western technology to do that. Let us look back the brief chronological about the iron uses in ancient India. It goes back to the 1500 BC. BC means before Common Era. Generally, BC means people say before Christ. No. It has been changed. If some mistake might be there in somewhere, you can correct it. I'm like, so there are several evidences. Lothal, Ahar in UP, Lothal in Gujarat, Gufral in Kashmir Valley, Antari Khera in UP, Halar. These are all what you call the archaeological survey. They have got the evidence. These are hard evidence in southern India around 500 years. Similarly, if you look at 300 BC to 3rd CE, iron stupa, swords, dagger, agriculture equipment, coins, clamps, and other things, it goes to the Chandragupta and Ashoka and Huviska and several other things. Similarly, 1-200 CE, iron spirits and nail, people are in UP. And you must be knowing that our Delhi iron pillar, which is the rustless iron wonders of our country, and there are several iron pillars are there, not only in Delhi, in Dhar and other places as well, in Odisha as well. So in 600 to 1200, the iron beams, in India, we are the first people in the entire world to use the iron as a beam material. That is the very, and you will find enormous, I'll be talking about that in Puri, Konark and Adbonis temple and other places as well. So if you go back to of course, the medieval era, where the guns and cannons were being built by using iron metals, and there is a war time, therefore it is. And if you go to the radiocarbon dates back, it goes to the something 1600 BC, before that is or you can say around 1300 and kind of things people are having data, but nowadays people are going back to even 1500. Recent data shows that. So if you go to the connotation about the Vedic period, you will find in Vedas, the iron is basically known as Ayas. Ayo the Mastra, Ayo Jala, in Athara Veda, it has been talked about iron nets and iron tusk, and Namastude Nirutte Tigmandejo Ayaswani Krutva Bandhapashana. Actually, my pronunciation is not that good, but however, you can pardon me that what I am trying to say is that this Niritri is basically a goddess of which will be having, destitutes and then bad omens kind of thing. And then they say, unfasten the bund of fetters iron. Sometimes this Nirithri is also considered as the goddess Kali. And Ayasme Drupade Vedisha Hi Abhihota Mrittu Vesasram. Thou westbound here is an iron post bridled with the deaths that are thousands. That means, iron also comes in Atharvaveda. And if you go back to even to the Manusmriti, even in, iron being used in the epic period, 500 BC to 100 BC, and you can get the earliest sites in South India is Halur in the Karnataka and Adikal around 100 BC, Tamil Nadu. And of course, Manusmriti chapter 11 says that this sloka is 267. That is Mani Mukta Pravalanang Tamrasya Rajatasya cha Ayang Kansyo Palanang cha Dwadashtang Kanatran. Aya means this iron, what we talked about, apart from the other metals, what people were using at being mentioned. So if you go to the prehistoric antiques in the Tenivali in Tamil Nadu, these are the sources which are being, as a part of archaeological survey data. And you can find a lot of iron weapons are being used at that time. This is the earlier version of the wood steel, which is a very famous steel. And from that, a lot of new materials in Western country being used, and they're trying to understand this. Unfortunately, according to me, they have not understood till now. And if you look at the Susura Samhita, that there are several surgical instruments are made from the iron, metal, and which were being used in ancient India. If you go to the rustless pillar of Delhi, which is a wonder of the iron artifacts in our country, and it has been basically it has influenced the Western people to undertake research and find out several kinds of steels out of that. If you look at this, is basically according to the history, it was developed around 400 to 413 CE, and which is having 6 tons of weight, and which was erected in the honor of Lord Vishnu on the Mount Vishnupada, located near the Vidisha, around 50 kilometers from current Bhopal. But unfortunately, because of the temple was destroyed and it was taken to the Delhi, and now it is located at Delhi. But if you look at this, is the top portions and of that, and what does it indicate? It indicates the inverted kalash. What is the kalash? Why it will have, if you look at that कलश हम लोग क्यों व्यवहार करें? कलश पुण्यता का प्राप्त दिखाता है, और ये जो कलश है, and it is a part of our culture since time memorial. But we do not understand, as the previous speaker told, that we do not really understand why we are doing, what are the reasons, how it is, what it indicates. Today, we are in deep trouble because of there is a cultural innovation in our country at this moment of time. And iron pillars, if you look at, there are several iron pillars that are erected, as I showed. There are various shapes and sizes. And of course, the 3 of Pagman now located near 15th century Lat Masjid Pillar Mosque. And a lot of things are also being, destroyed and put into the, getting spoiled by the nature. And if you look at the Konark temple, which is the first temple or first structure in the entire world to use the iron beam, as I showed, this is the beam which I have shown here, iron beam. It's not that only few beams are being used iron, but if you look at in the garden temple of Puri, number of iron beams below the pillars plates is 239 and the lintel is 95. It's a huge number. That means the technology was available and they're knowing what is the load, what are the things. And if you look at the stone building, the load will be enormous, and how they are taking care of that and what are the design consideration they were doing is a really matter of wonder. And we do not know today. If I ask some engineers today, look, I want to build a temple and use the iron beam or any other beam, as a matter of fact, they cannot really calculate how we'll do that. And of course, we don't have a code for that, unfortunately. And if you look at the Indian gun and cannons, this is 17th century 4 meter and 0.94 is outer diameter, weigh around 20 tons. You look at how did they make, whether there was any crane, and how did they do that? Similarly, in the cannon, Malaika imagine in the Bijapur, which was, people were thinking that it was a 400 oxen and 10 elephants were, and hundreds of men were to shifting this kind of a cannon. I don't know how. And there's a classifications of the iron and its properties. If you look at it, it's divided in three categories: is the Kantaloha, Tiksnaloha, and Mundaloha. Basically, soft iron, carbon steel, and cast iron. There are various varieties: Brahmaka, Chumbaka, Karsaka, Dravaka, Romaka. These are all properties that I will not discuss that because of paucity of time. There's a Khara, Sara, Harnala, Travarta, Bajra. Bajra is a one which is used. The Indra used to have a Bajra, like what we have seen we have learned in basically while in Puranas, It has a good hardening, tempering property and hard cutting edge. And this is a cast iron, Mudra, Kunda, Kadara, these are all kinds of cast iron which are still being used, but our people were knowing all those things and they were using in various ways. And let us look at how they are making the iron, making furnaces. See, if you look at the evidence-wise, particularly 18th century, the Britishers, they have made some surveys. Of course, they are the people who really make it a point that all these indigenous furnaces or the technology were being thrown out. And that was a very big, and we don't have much document. Of course, a lot of documents in the later years people have done, but still it is inadequate and it's not with the people. Today it is being what you call kept in the book. वो किताब में बंदी हो गया है, लेकिन अभी हमारे धरातल में नहीं है. And these furnaces are called Vati, Koti, and Kosti, and different places people call in different name, and are made locally available clay, and some of the things are being lined with the China clay, and furnaces were made of either below the ground level or the sloping hillocks above the ground. I'll show you some of the pictures, and most of the furnaces are having two holes, one for the charging, other for discharging. And these are very simple things, and then a tire or the pipes were being used for supplying the air. And there are classification of the furnace, cylindrical furnace, Koti kind of furnace, particular square and rectangular. It's not only cylindrical, but square and rectangular being used. Furnace in South India were having bowl shaped, earth and conical shaft. And these are the all classification people have, made later on. And this is let me say you that typicalness, it is not only the Naikun, the Nalanda is having, these are all goes back to the 700 BC, and Kharijara, Ujjaini, there are various places. The beauty of this technology, that technology is not uniform. It was basically, different places are having different way of doing the thing depending on their way. These are the indigenous technology, what people are having. And unfortunately, these are not there, today, and people are going to, these are basically Bloomery furnace. It is not there, I cannot say. And it is there in some pockets, but however, this needs to be documented and then also looked at how it can be improved, the efficiency within the modern context. Look at the Duhata furnace, and this is having a bellows, which the air will be supplying, not that you will have to use a blower today, and then people were using, and this is the burning, and this is the underground smelting charges. And this is another furnace of extracting iron being used in tribal of Bishnupur. And this, if you look at most of the technologies were there with the tribal. Today, tribals are, in destroy. They have lost everything in the process of development, and as a result, so also the technology. Now, these are the things we need to, revive and revive. Why you will do that? There is another question comes to my mind. Why? Because we are at the pinnacle of the engineering development, technological development. Why you will go back to the ancient technology? This question must be coming, and these look at these are the all local material. The bamboo air pipe will be they will be using the bellows, which doesn't consume power, so that it will be basically manpower which is importantly being used, and the slag pits are being used naturally designed and the local material and being done. Therefore, it will be generating a lot of employment, and it will be making a man to be creative in nature, because man is a curious, creative creature by nature. Unfortunately, the modern way of mechanization, automation has spoiled the people, and India is being a populous country at this moment of time. It is better to go back to the things, but however, with a little modification to the keeping in the time, that is the need of the hour. Therefore, we'll have to go back, and it is important to make a man human rather than that of a machine or the other things. So therefore, the people's psychology will be boosted, and psychology of the people today are very, very bad, as my previous speaker talked about it, because where people are health is the problem, mental, physical, moral, ethical, all health, are in deep trouble because of abuses and uses of the Western technologies in our country. And this is the twin shaft furnace from the Malwa region, and you could say that it could, according to Bouchan, that is the 1807 one person who could have written that book, and he says that it could produce 200 kg of iron per day. See, look at this is the batch process, not the continuous. Of course, there is evidence of continuous process. Let us look at difference between the blast furnace and ancient furnace. And this is a very complicated done, and you cannot really maintain properly. And if you go to a blast furnace, and if you want to stop it, and if you want to understand what it is not possible, because it's too huge to manage. Whereas these are the small furnace, which is dimension, if you look at, is a 250 mm and 300 mm, 700 mm. It's very small. If you look at, this is some meters. Length is 20 to 35 meter, diameter 6 to 40. It's a very huge giant. And also the maintaining is very difficult, and the process, the high temperature is required. Whereas here, the temperature is around 1200 degrees Celsius, which is easy to get, and therefore it is easier, and pollution will be very less, and so also the local material. If you look at, I will not get into detail about that. This is the solid state reduction Blumeric furnace, which is a very easier to do, and hammering and very simple technology can be used, and large production can be made locally, so that the pollution is be distributed. If you go to any power plant, any iron plant, you will find it is polluting the city to a very large extent, and is spoiling the people and the vegetation and all other things. So I'm just pause there. So I will not get into that, and I would suggest that there are several ways of doing how to secondary treatment, whatever the things has to be done. I'll talk about one very important thing, which is a very small furnace by which the iron is being produced from the biotite, particularly Ayurvedic method, and which is known as charcoal furnace. And this furnace is a very, very tiny one with the bellows. It is being done. And if you look at, there use the Sattopatana process, Swadhana, Bhavana, Dhamana, like basically it's the purification, maceration and titration and heating and smelting. And they use a local material like kanji, the fermented liquid, the tripala, quath, harira, bahara, amla, and then cow's urine and cow's milk. And if you look at, this is a very beautiful process. You can get iron in few grams even, which is not possible in modern time. Okay. So this is pelletization, something around balls you can produce. So this is basically, and here the temperature could manage to go to the 1500, as the Jha et al. Has claimed in this thing. And this is from the Rasaratna Samuchay, the book, which was part. Let me conclude that India was the forefront of the iron steel manufacturing till 18th century, which was destroyed due to the wrong policies of British ruler and subsequently Indian ruler after 1947. Modern steel making is quite costly and environmental unfriendly, and system is cheaper and encourage creativity. Ancient technology is quite small in scale, which can be adopted by the semi-skilled and the skilled, people that generate employment and least pollution as distributed across the large areas. Archaeological finding indicate the high-grade, high-carbon crucible steel does have an ancient history in India. Research over the past 200 know that how these steel Damascus blades are made, why the surface pattern appeared have not resolved completely. Therefore, of course, in the process they have made several kinds of things, whereas the Indians are not aware of the heritage, and as a result, we are just following the Western people or Western technology blindly without understanding the efficacy of our system because of bad education, wrong education going on in our country. With NEP 2020, there is a hope that it will be changing. And in this direction, what we have done, we have basically looked at, we have formed a Bharatiya Paramparic Gyan Vigyan Samaj, and I'm the founder president of that. And our objective is basically to provide a platform through which the teachers, students, various education institutes, namely schools, colleges, universities, common public, interact with each other for rejuvenating, re-establishing the Indian traditional knowledge and wisdom in the Bharat and other countries. And that is very essential to lead a productive, peaceful, and blissful life, what the homotherapy is talking about. And so also, with a proper nature-centric, eternal Bharatiya knowledge, wisdom system for the welfare of entire kind of. And this Bharatiya Paramparic Gyan Vigyan Samaj, what we have done, it could have done in 1947. But unfortunately, we didn't do that. Let us do it. And ours, we have these are the membership fees. And I would suggest that you can join and let us work together for the renaissance of the great tradition of Bharatiya Paramparic Gyan Vigyan Samaj. Thank you very much. Sabko namaskar. Dhanyavad.